Hey guys, what's going on? Very excited here to do another. We have to do another video here on sample cards because we got some very interesting information, some statements by the company, a pack opening by Team Covenant, or actually a full booster box opening. So far, they've opened half of the booster box, so 18 of the 36 packs. But that gives us a lot more data to analyze with understanding the rarity of these cards and some of the statements made in that video by Zach and Steven opening the packs, and then also by the company and notes that they provide us a lot of insight into the true scarcity of these and how very rare they actually are. So, in the latest, I guess where I wanted to start is let me caution up front. This might be a bit of a longer video because there's a lot to cover here. There's a lot revealed, but I wanted to talk about the point of provenance. One thing we're trying to figure out is how many of these sample card packs or booster boxes or pre-con decks have been printed, and it's starting to become more and more evident that it's not a lot, right? So I think with the pre-cons, I mean, we only have evidence of the five or so, maybe five or six that have been given to YouTube content creators several months ago to kind of get the word out on Sorcery and to have them do things on stream to kind of build some awareness. And then beyond that, there was a 12-pack opening by Red Zone Rogue, so the company gave him 12 packs. And then most recently, there was the opening by Team Covenant just this week, right, where they got a full booster box. Some of the statements made there. Let me actually, before I go to that, let me provide a few images here. I'm going to be projecting from my screen today to kind of show you some distinctions. So this image surfaced in November of last year, right? So you see two booster boxes. And based on comments made, I think there's reason to believe that there was probably a full case of booster boxes printed. And if you spread those, you think about where those wound up. There was a box that went to Team Covenant. That's the first one. There's four primary company employees who were the face of this. So I'm assuming each of them got a box. And Simon mentioned that he received a box of these. So maybe we're looking at one of his here in this image. And then finally, it's reasonable to believe that if Team Covenant got one, perhaps Rudy from Alpha Investments may have gotten a box as well as one of their other primary key distribution partners that have been revealed so far. So a few interesting things in this image. You see the two sealed boxes. You have a stack of cards here, and stack here. It's hard to tell if this looks like it. I don't know if this is just sleeves or actual cards or what this may be, and likewise for these, if this might just be a stack of sleeved up cards. But perhaps Eric opened his. I mean, it's been alluded to that maybe they play tested with these within the company. They certainly would have opened one, obviously, to kind of check the quality. That's the primary reason for printing these samples. But then also inside here, you see on the sheet, there's some Chinese lettering here. So back in November, they were testing with a Chinese printer. Still don't know who the printer is. I think the company was exploring various options, and they could have test printed with multiple printers, right? But this gives us some insight to say that maybe these booster boxes that we're seeing on stream and that were printed back in November may have been with that printer. And if they're trying Cardamundi or somebody else, who knows? Maybe those we may not have seen, or they could have tested any number of printers. We really can't speculate on that. But I thought this was an interesting image to show that this was likely the first time they went to test prints, and where you get the pedigree of these booster boxes that we saw in the Team Covenant opening, and mention of potentially company employees receiving a box. Okay, and then you go to the Red Zone Rogue opening. Another thing I wanted to point out, and I think I had one more image. Let me go to the first. I'll start here, right? So this was from the Red Zone Rogue 12-pack opening. These are silver packs, so you see there's no pack design on these. We're going to see obviously a design on the packs that come out with Alpha, but these were early stage, so these were probably printed pretty early on. This pack opening showed up on YouTube on March 2nd of this year, so it was several months ago. And there was a mention by a company employee recently that these silver packs are the print run version that we will see in the Kickstarter release. So those of you that pledged in the Avatar, Sorcerer early bird special, and the collector tier will get these silver packs. And now if you go to the Team Covenant pack opening from just this week, you pull this over, we see these actually had the pack design printed on the packs. So the purpose of this test was to, one, test that packaging, and there's been some mention that there may be some looseness in those packs, so they're, maybe they'll test again or just instruct the printer to tighten these up a bit so the cards have less wiggle within the pack. But point being, you have the silver print run iteration, silver pack design, and now you have the one with the design on there. So that's evidence of two different print runs. Now I'm going to show you something very interesting here. This is kind of like an exclusive to this channel. I don't know that there's many people that could replicate this, so hopefully you're tracking along and watching these videos if you're into high-end collectibles and are into the sample pack collectible type genre. But I was able to get my hands on various sample cards from both of these sources. So one, or at least from the precons versus the sample packs, right? And there was a very interesting finding on the card Sea Serpent with artwork by Vincent Pompetti. So I took an image of these I tried to get the best lighting I could, and you kind of see it's actually pretty difficult to see on the front face of the card, but there are differences in color saturation that would indicate that these were two different print runs done at different times. And this is exactly why you do multiple prints. I mean, it could be different printers for one, or it could have been the same printer and just some adjustments made in the printing techniques. I actually had the honor to talk to Drew Tucker recently, and we had an interesting discussion about how lighting really affects the appearance of an image. So I try to be consistent. This is a direct overhead lighting exposed photograph. And then also another thing that makes a huge difference is the print itself, right? Like when you order a print from an artist, or when an artist orders a print from a print shop, it doesn't always look just like the image, or at least the original painting is what I mean. You could get different color tone, saturation. It looks very, very different. So if you print it multiple different times, you might get a difference in quality just from that. But also the settings of the printing, that's why you kind of iterate, right, before you do a mass print. And that's exactly what Eric and the team are doing. They're trying to hone this in and get it to their liking. But if you look at some of the subtleties, you see there's kind of like a darker border, I would say, on this one. The dark greens kind of show up here and on this side of the card. I think you could most readily see it in the text box here. Just the nature of the blue, it's definitely lighter all the way around this, and then here you have almost like an aqua, different shade of blue. Perhaps the text here on the artist line looks a little tighter on this version versus this one. You have a little more shadowing. But let me go to the back of these cards, and this is where it becomes very obvious, where you can see the pedigree of a card from a pre-con deck versus a sample pack. So look how different the color saturation, the color tones of this card is versus the other. So again, one is from a sample pack, one is from a pre-con deck, and it jumps right out, right? And you'd only know this if you're looking at them side by side. They both look amazing in person, but this is how, if you're hit, it's probably going to be pretty hard to get some of these cards from both. The YouTubers that got them to display don't want to give them up in some cases. Some more willing than others, and then in the sample packs, I mean, that's kind of hit or miss too. Like some people are just going to hold on to these forever, and some are cycling through auction on the Facebook group. So it's pretty fascinating to kind of see this difference, and it just jumps right out. I thought one of these was a Fugazi at first when I first saw it, but they're both legitimate. I mean, they're both from very credible sources, so we know this is real, and that's just something to be aware of if you're purchasing these and acquiring these, and that matters to you. There's different tiers of rarity, so overall there hasn't been a lot of cards printed, but then within that there's been at least 2 documented print runs here, and evidence of that in this image we're looking at right now. So there's different tiers of level of rarity. Overall they're extremely scarce, and then when you break it down to the 2 tiers, there's very limited numbers and very limited duplicates of these in existence. And the company has kind of stated that. There was a comment that said that there might not even be enough of these in existence to actually get a grading company to take a look and have enough of a sample size to grade these. So I think that would indicate that they don't plan on printing more. They're probably playing around with. There was also a comment about there's no foil sample cards, right? But we've seen images of sheets of foil cards. So that would lead me to believe that there isn't any intention by the company to print more sample cards. I thought maybe they would print sample cards of foils, but perhaps not. Maybe it just doesn't exist now. Maybe it will in the future. But as of today, there's none. As of today, we've only seen sheets of sample cards, and that's also another way to test. You could print as a sheet, and you can just look at many cards on one print sheet and get a sense for if you're happy with the color, or if you want to make any tweaks, right? Or corner roundness, all those types of things as they do test cuts. So very fascinating and enlightening information here. One more point on the grading. So typically you have to send a full case of cards to a grading company like BGS or PSA. The major grading companies usually require a full case or a full set of the cards, which you're not going to get in the samples because the design is still in flux and not even complete. So we know that they didn't send the full 400 card list off to the to printers, and we haven't seen that broad of a sample size to see evidence of that. But I don't know that there's probably been one case printed, as I discussed, right, where 4 company insiders likely have a box each, would be my speculation. Team Covenant got one, and then again, cases have 6 boxes, so it makes sense that as a partner, perhaps Rudy's going to get one. Lucky him. So, all right, so there's the images. Now, what I want to do is go to, let me close all these. We're going to go to the spreadsheet, right? So what I have here, and thanks to my guy Vincent in France, helped me map this out. And then I went through and I documented the duplication population. So the pop column here says how many duplicate copies were in this. So let me take a step back. The spreadsheet we're looking at is from the 18 packs that Team Covenant just opened on stream. And it's broken down pack by pack. We had Steven opening a pack at the same time as Zach throughout most of the video. So it was a little tricky kind of pulling this together. Visibility was a challenge, but we were able to get the full list and the rarity levels, and then I got to do a little more work on the type, Atlas versus Spell, but it's mostly complete. There was a glitch in the recording where I guess they lost internet connection when they were on their second pack, so I did not catch what the last 2 packs were in each of pack 2, so we're shy 4 cards. But let me get into the data here and explain to you the color coding. So wherever you see green, you see a pop 1. That means there was only 1 copy of that particular card in the entire 18 packs. Blue means there were 2 copies. And then so this didn't get too muddled. There were some cards that had 3, 4, or in the most extreme case, 5 copies of that card. So if it was 3 or more, I just made that white. I think there was only maybe 1 or 2 cards that had 5 copies. That was pretty limited. There was probably maybe a handful that had 4 duplicates or copies, and then there was a bunch at that ordinary level that had 3 copies. So ordinaries are still pretty rare. This is half a box. You're only getting 5 duplicates at the ordinary level, and you have 11 ordinaries in these packs. And on that point, let's talk about pack composition. So when Red Zone Rogue opened his packs, and this is going to be interesting to see what folks get in their sample cards for Kickstarter, but the collation of those packs were different than this. So when Red Zone Rogue opened it, he was getting his hit in the very first card in the pack, and a hit meaning that would be the elite or the unique as the highest rarity level, one or the other, and then he would get 3 exceptionals and then 11 ordinaries. Now, in this opening, this is going to be a little closer to reality. The 3 exceptional cards came first, and then the hit, elite or unique, and then your 11 ordinaries. The difference when we get to Alpha is that one of these ordinary slots, probably I think it was the slot at the end they said, that slot is going to be either an avatar or a site card. So in these packs, you had some Atlas site cards kind of mixed throughout, spattered, and they're very rare actually. There weren't a lot of those, and I talked about that in my last video. You should go back and watch that. But the Atlas cards, there's not a lot of sample cards of those in existence. They're more comparable to even the ordinaries are more comparable in population size in terms of copies out there to the exceptionals, elites, and uniques, in my opinion. Or the evidence suggests that so far. We'll see what happens with the next 18 packs that Team Covenant guys open up. But the Atlas cards are very rare. We don't have any, and this is another thing that was confirmed, huge point here. So in my last video, I speculated that the avatars are not in any of these sample packs. That was evident in Red Zone Rogue's opening. He opened none. And then, so I just kind of, assumed like maybe they printed those in the pre-con decks and that was enough. Like, why would you need to print them additionally across a ton of packs? Rather, a smarter way to go about it is, rather than doing that, you get to look at them through the pre-cons, and then that affords you an extra slot in the regular packs to have a broader distribution and see as many cards as possible. And those were two things that were confirmed in the Team Covenant video that was pretty fascinating. So one, they confirmed that the avatar cards do not exist at all in the sample card packs. So those are only in the pre-cons. And if only 5 sets of pre-con decks, as I estimate, maybe 5 or 6, were sent to YouTube content creators, then you would only have 5 copies of each elemental avatar, 5 or 6, right, depending on how many were sent out. And so that pop size is stupid rare. That's absolute god tier rarity, on par with the uniques, or maybe even more rare. And then, in the other point here, to get the broader distribution in the sample card packs, there's 2 things done. One, this slot opens up and it's just a standard ordinary instead of an avatar or an Atlas / site card. And also, it was stated that the print of this set was not as randomized as, let me find my notes here to make sure I stated it properly. They said it was not part of a randomization test. The purpose of this print is that they wanted to see as many cards as possible. So, again, there's a broad distribution. That affects the pop numbers of these ordinaries. We might see something a little different where we get a lot more duplicates in the real alpha print runs, which would make sense. You need those ordinaries because you can have 4 in your deck. That's gonna constitute the basis of most decks, and then supplemented by exceptionals, elites, and uniques, which you can have. So let's go in order. Ordinaries, you can have 4 copies. Exceptional, you can have 3. Elite, you can have 2. And uniques, you can have 1. So there's a broad distribution in here, which limits the number of duplicate copies that you're going to see in sample cards. That's why when you see like a unique or an elite, or if I can get my hands on one, an avatar come to auction, that might be a one-time shot, at least for the next several months. And then on release, there's going to be, I think it's 244 packs across the Kickstarter pledge. But in those packs, you get 1 unique or elite per pack, right? So only 244 total population unique plus elite cards in those sample cards coming. So one point people have been speculating on is, these cards are selling for quite a bit. They're being treated as a very high-end god tier collectible, and they're going for a lot of money in auctions. And some people think, like, upon release, there's going to be a flood of these on the market. And sure, maybe we'll see a few ordinaries here and there, but you're not going to see, like, for one, there's probably, like we said, 5 or 6 avatars in existence, elemental avatars. And then when you look at the elite, unique, exceptional, so the exceptional, you're getting 3 packs, 3 times 244, 800-ish. So copies total pop of all the cards. So on an individual card basis, stupidly rare. Then the elite and uniques, there's 1 in every pack. So there's only 244 total elites plus uniques. There's not going to be many duplicates. There might be a handful in existence, right? Maybe a dozen, let's say, worst case, or extreme case, I guess you'd call it, the highest pop. So are all 12 people going to sell? It's unlikely, right? Some people are just going to want to hold on to these because they're amazing collectibles. If I get some, I'll probably hold on to them. I don't know. I have a hard time selling anything that I own. I'm really just doing consignment and running an auction service for people. I don't own these cards, unfortunately, myself. I'd love to, but I don't. So let's go through here, kind of skim the packs, and kind of point out a few things. And again, focusing on the top 4, you get the 3 exceptionals, and then the hit slot, which is elite or unique. And pay attention to the colors. Let me remind you again. Green means there was only 1 copy in all 18 packs. Blue means there were 2 copies, and the white means there was either 3, 4, or 5 in the extreme case. So that's what we care about. These are the higher order rarities, the bigger hits. And as we go across left to right, you're going to find that most of these, there was only one single copy across the 18 packs or two copies. So the exceptionals, here you got two or three. The elite or unique, I believe those were all one-ofs. I don't think there were any duplicates at that level. So again, that underscores the point that there's not going to be like a ton of these, even in existence, let alone ever coming to the market all at once. But then, so we go left to right, a lot of green, a lot of blue. You could scan the whole pack if you like and find that a lot are green or blue. And then you have some spatterings of white, which means there's 3, 4, or 5 copies across the 18 packs. But again, focus on the top 3 here. Whoops. Undo that. Alright, so focusing on the top 3, top 4, excuse me. So you want to see your exceptionals and your elites. Let me just keep it highlighted, and hopefully you can see that okay. So you got green, blue, a little white dabbled in there at the exceptional level, but all of your elites or uniques are all one-ofs. Starting with pack 5 here, green and blue. So a lot of one-ofs, plenty of one-ofs at the exceptional level, so those are pretty rare. Here's an outlier, the Cursed Albatross. Artwork by Vincent Pompetti, 3 of those. Alright, coming down, pack 7, a lot of green and blue. Again, the Albatross, so it's not like, there's a different card that had 3. That might be the only one at the exceptional level that somehow had 3 copies, so it was kind of random. I don't know if it's anomalous or we just have too small of a sample size to know, honestly. Predestination, godly card. I own the painting for that, and I'm obsessed with it. So I die for that card. And I hope I get it in foil and regular. It's pretty amazing. Green and blue. So 1 copy or 2 copies. And then here you go. So all the exceptionals, a lot of one-ofs here. 1 had 2 copies. Fellbog Frogman, and then you had, I think scanning through all of the elite or unique hit slots, there was only 1 copy of those across the entire 18 packs, which is pretty amazing. And then looking at total summary statistics, and I'll zoom in here. I know some of you guys like to watch these on your phone. So let me zoom in. Alright, green is 1 copy, blue 2, orangish, really that should be white. I'm going to change that. I used orange on the prior page. So 3 plus was white on this. Let me save that bad boy. Alright, so only 1 copy of a card. 72 cards only showed up 1 time across the 18 packs. That was about a quarter of the population, 27%. 106 cards, there was only a single duplicate of those, so 2 copies. That was almost half of the population. So across those, 67%, 2/3 of your packs, or two-thirds of the cards in your 18 packs only had 1 or 2 copies of the card. And then a third, 33%, on the dot, 87 cards, had 3 copies or more. And as I mentioned, there weren't a lot that had 4, and there was like maybe 1 or 2 cards that had 5 copies. So most of them had 3 copies. So again, not a lot of copies and the duplicates in these sample cards. That's what makes them valuable. That's why the auctions are super successful, even at the ordinary level. People are placing a big premium on those because there's just not a lot of them. We don't know how many chances we'll have at buying the one you love. I think there's a lot of people out there that probably just want to have a historical collectible and are going hard to just get their favorite. Who knows? And then there's others that have been active in several of the auctions and are trying to acquire more of a larger high-end collection. But let me finish here on talking about the current auction that's going on. We're doing an awesome auction on the Facebook group, the Sorcery Contested Realm fan page and marketplace Facebook group. And then you should go there and join on Facebook. That's the primary place where we run these auctions. And then on the Collector Art House Discord, which I have copied in both of these links and all of the video notes and the videos I've made. You could please join both of those. There's a lot of fun and exciting things going on. There's the auctions there where you can purchase stuff, but I also generate a ton of content through my website, www.collectorarthouse.com. I've done 12 interviews with artists. I have a few more in the works. I plan to just keep on doing that and talking to as many of the amazing artists as I can. I talk about conversations I've had with artists, and I write up behind the art feature articles about those. So if you have a favorite artwork, I'm telling the story directly from the artist about the direction they got from Eric Olofsson, the game creator and art director, and then how they manifested that into their design approach and the inspiration for those designs. And there's some fascinating stories about these, personal stories, references from their own family members or themselves in a couple of cases, from famous artists, paintings in museums that kind of inspired what they've done. Most recently, there was a sample card that's become an auction from Margaret Organ Keene, who is a famous magic artist who did Lion's Eye Diamond. I think is her most famous magic card. She talked about how the inspiration for her observatory card in Sorcery, which is one of the Atlas site cards, is from her hometown in out there on the West Coast in Washington State. So there's a lot of interesting stories there. Just go explore the website. But I want to talk about this auction marathon that's going on and the purpose of it. So one, I wanted to kind of shine a light on the legendary artists from the 80s, 90s era that were doing Dungeons and Dragons paintings and artwork for TSR. It was a company at the time. A lot of those folks ended up getting jobs with WotC for Magic the Gathering when it came out. So there's at least a handful, more than that, of artists that did the Alpha Magic the Gathering art. It did quite a contribution, several paintings for those. And now, all these years later, some 30 years later almost, they're doing Sorcery Alpha. So it's pretty amazing. I kind of wanted to do, had this idea to do a marathon auction, reached out to some community members that were fortunate enough to get these sample cards, and was able to coordinate this. So I have I think I was able to get every, what I'm coining as the legendary fantasy artists from that 90s era, card from each of them, at least one, except for Liz Danforth. I don't think I have one from her. It's been very tricky to get those. I don't know that we've even seen any until the recent Team Covenant opening. So that was difficult. Actually, there was Royal Bodyguard, I remember, in the pre-con decks. But those pre-con decks there was one opening of a set of pre-cons, and each person, I think, got about seven cards. So they're all over the place. So my apologies to Liz. I wasn't able to get hers, but all the other artists, there's gonna be a sample card coming from each of those. And these cards are, those artists are unbelievably talented, and their artwork is incredible, and it looks like so amazing on these cards. It's just so exciting. I was able to see the full image scans of most of these, and I have those on my Collector Art House website, and that page is incredible. You should go check that out. But seeing it on the card, as a trading card game lover, someone that's into this stuff, they're just so freaking awesome. Like you gotta see it in person, and you will soon enough. I'm sorry, not more people can. I wish I owned them myself, but I'm just kind of helping others that want to sell and buyers that want to buy, making this available. And this Legend Auction Series is a pretty fun and cool concept that I came up with. Again, to honor them, and two, to draw some attention and awareness and excitement around Sorcery. See if we can appeal to the Magic fans, get more people coming in to collect and to play this game. So what better than the D&D and the Alpha Magic and early era Magic artists that are just icons in the fantasy genre, to get their cards out there and shine a spotlight on them day after day. So what I'm doing is I'm running the auctions in the Facebook group, and then I mirror it in the Discord, in my Collector Art House Discord group. So if you're not on Facebook and you hate Facebook, a lot of people just refuse to use it, you have that option. You go on Discord, you can place bids there, and that's been going great. People are taking advantage of that. If you want to be anonymous, you can send me a private message through Discord. After you join the group, you'll find me on there very easily. Collector Art House is my name there. And we're on the Facebook group. Mike Servati, I'm the person that created the Facebook group and pumping out content constantly, so you can't miss me on the Facebook group. So what we're doing here, 24-hour auctions, one card at a time. We're not pre-announcing which card's going to come, so you got to check in every day. If you have a favorite artist between all the legends, Tony Sudlow, I'll tell you the names of who's coming. I just won't tell you the card, right? That's part of the excitement. You got to check in and be bam, 8 o'clock Eastern time, new card up, new artwork. that's part of the fun and the excitement of it. So we couldn't get Liz. We got Ian Miller. He's incredible. We got Tony Sudlow. We got Alan Pollock, Melissa Benson, Drew Tucker, Jeff Easley, another huge name, big D&D guy. I think did I get them all? I'm kind of winging it there, so I feel bad if I miss somebody, but you just got to check in, and they're going to be various rarity levels. We got ordinaries, we got exceptionals, elites. It's going to be crazy. There's a ton of interest, ton of excitement. These cards are incredible. So just keep checking in. Please join those groups. It's more than auctions. I do all kinds of content. So if you don't care about these auctions, that's cool. They're expensive. They're not for everybody. Not everyone even cares about sample cards. It's kind of a niche in its own way. You just want to play the game. That's great. You're probably still into the artwork and still into the artists and the stories behind the art. So I post a lot of information about that. Any updates from the company. I'm posting on Facebook every single day. Pretty active on Discord as well. And the website always has new content. So there's something for everybody. Long story short, hopefully people enjoy it. And I certainly love to do it and love the relationships I've made, friends with artists and the community members. Everyone's been super supportive, and I appreciate y'all. Alright, so that was a hell of a ramble. Hopefully there was some good information communicated here. If you like the video, like and subscribe, share with your friends. I hit 100 members. I'm just a small timer trying to grow and trying to put out good information there that's fun and exciting for all of us as we wait for the alpha release. Alright, everybody, take care. I'll see you.